In this video, we're gonna go back 121 years in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana, where a little boy is being born by the name of John Herbert Dillinger. A hard time for John started at a very young age because he was only 3 years old when his mom died of a stroke. But thankfully, he had his father that worked very hard and a sister that was 13 years older than him that took care of him. Since John had a good family, he grew up in a middle class and he pretty much had everything available to him. John's father knew how to discipline his kids. When he set a rule, you would have to follow it or you will be punished. Like if he said, be home when the lights turn on, you have to be home or you will be punished. Until the age of 10, John listened to his father religiously and he would never break any rules. But all of a sudden, he turned south and he wouldn't listen to his sister anymore, and of course he wouldn't listen to his father. Outside of home, he didn't listen to any rules either. He was constantly bullying other kids, stealing their money, and just causing a whole lot of trouble. And then eventually at the age of 14, he gets arrested by the police for stealing. They sent him to the juvenile hall, and then very quickly his court date comes up. The prosecutor goes a little too easy on him because he was only a 14-year-old boy. They said boys will be boys, so they let him off with a small little ticket. This pissed off John Dillinger's father a lot because he thought the court system was going to take care of him and discipline him, but they didn't do that. So he thought that Indianapolis is the problem. He sold his house and bought a ranch in a nearby town called Mooresville. Since John Dillinger had moved from a city into a ranch, he didn't give up his dreams. He would leave this ranch and do all the illegal activities and cause a whole lot of disturbance to the people around him. And since he was stealing, robbing, and causing a whole lot of chaos, he actually had some money. So with the help of money, he would catch rides to Indianapolis, where it was easier to cause trouble because the population was much higher. In the year 1923, when John Dillinger is only 20 years old, he has a lot of knowledge in illegal activities, and he's actually able to steal cars. The funny thing is, automobiles are a very new thing in this era, so you could say John Dillinger is one of the first car thieves in the world, at least one of the first famous ones. John Dillinger would steal these cars and sell it to chop shops, and after a few months, one of these chop shops got caught, and the first person they ratted out was John Dillinger. So in Indianapolis, there was a search going on for John Dillinger. But John knew the police are looking for him, so he booked it and immediately signed up for the US Navy. Back then it wasn't clear because there was no computers and your name didn't really go on a record. You were only wanted in the city of Indianapolis, and once you left, nobody is really looking for you unless you're most wanted. So he very easily joined the US Navy, and after a few months he got extremely bored. He wasn't making any money and there was nothing exciting about it. And that's why, in Boston, Massachusetts, he decided to run away from the Navy. And after running away, he goes right back to where he was born, Indianapolis, Indiana. When he goes back, he gets to know a girl named Beryl Huvius, which he ends up marrying very quickly. John really wanted to show he's a proper man in front of his new wife's parents, so he got a job in a textile factory. And once again, he got bored of that job, and to make extra cash, he would steal chickens at night and sell them to other people for cheaper. In the year 1924, John Dillinger does something scary. He ends up buying a revolver so he can start robbing people in the street. On the 6th of September 1924, a man named Frank Morgan had a grocery store and he was closing up for the night. And when you close up, you have all the cash for that day when you go home. And John Dillinger knew this. So after he closed up and started leaving, John Dillinger put him at gunpoint and asked for the money. But Morgan wasn't going to give up that easy. So he slapped the gun out of John Dillinger's hand because the gun was very close to his face and started to fist fight. And he actually beat John Dillinger's butt. And after that, he basically made a citizen's arrest and made the police take him. But now, the crimes he's being charged for in the police station are much more serious than just stealing. Because this time, he was armed. And since he was armed and it was his second offense, he got 10 years in prison. When John goes into prison, he meets a lot of new people and he begins to like it. And he continues his illegal activities in prison. He started betting, creating his own games where he can make money off of people. And he would also make betting stations for people to fight in prison. He also creates a gang inside the prison called the Dillinger gang. And of course, he was the main guy behind it all. This group had tens of people in it. And the interesting part is that if you fast forward 10 years from now when we're speaking, every single one of these people in this group will die in the streets with a gun or the electric chair. But for the rest of the video, we want to explain what happens in the next 10 years. These dudes have a lot of dreams on what they want to do, but they're all stuck in prison and their terms are 10 to 50 years. And some of them even have life in prison. But even with all that, they still have hope, and it seems like they're going to get out the next day. So this is when they start planning different ways to escape this prison. They try to escape many times, but they fail years and years on end. But every time they get caught, they get added to their sentence. The interesting part is that Mike Dillinger would never get caught, and he never got extra time added to his sentence, which is why in 8 years time, in the year 1933, he got out of prison because he was a good boy. When John Dillinger got out, he still knew that he has to help his gang out, and his first mission was to gather money so he can do that. The fastest way he thought of was robbing banks. He knew this is the quickest way of getting cash instead of robbing grocery stores like before. He got his weapon ready and he started casing places. He realized that a bank inside Ohio named New Carlisle National Bank is perfect for this. And he was right, because in under 1 minute, he robbed the bank and gathered $10,000 cash. You have to note that this is the 1930s, and $10,000 in that time is about $240,000 in today's money. After this, John Dillinger got a little too arrogant. He thought he was too good at this, and he kinda was, because he knew what banks to case for it to be the quickest bank robbery ever. After he got all this money together, the plan was beginning to work out. He's going to break his gang out of prison. With all the money he had, he basically bribed a lot of prison guards inside the prison his gang was staying in to bring in weapons for the gang. And after the guards went in, they handed those weapons to the gang, which they used, and they used the weapons to make the guards themselves hostages to escape out of prison. They already had everything planned out when the escape went through. They were going to meet at a safe house in the town of Hamilton in Ohio. These 10 prisoners that just escaped got to the safe house, but when they got inside, they realized that John Dillinger is not there, because a few hours ago, he had been arrested by the local police. Since John Dillinger was a high-class figure and everybody knew him, they arrested him left and right. But he had not gone to prison yet. He wasn't even in the county jail. He was literally inside the police station. So these prisoners that were helped in their escape, they said, we have to help John back because he helped us out. So they literally used all the weapons they had to attack the police station, killed 2 guards to get John Dillinger out of there. After getting out of there, they got into a safe house and they began planning 1 bank robbery per month in the east coast of the United States, and we will be good forever. After this, the Dillinger gang has become an extremely dangerous gang, but they're all together outside of prison. A dangerous group had formed that wasn't afraid of killing people. It didn't take long before the police realized that the leader of this dangerous gang is John Dillinger, which is why he was named Public Enemy Number 1. After he was named Public Enemy Number 1, he realized that this place is getting a little too hot. We should move westward, which is why he decided to go to the city of Tucson in Arizona. John Dillinger's gang had been so famous in the media and they were so dangerous that everybody pretty much knew them. It didn't matter if you went to Tucson or Alaska. So they very quickly got caught, and every single one of them were arrested. This group has caused carnage in tens of states in the United States. So after they were arrested, every single state wanted them to be prosecuted there. Arizona wanted them, Ohio wanted them, but after a while they decided that they have to take them to the first state that wanted them, Indiana, and that's where they were going to get prosecuted. John Dillinger had become so famous at this point that every single person that saw him wanted a photo with him. Even the police officers that were handling him wanted pictures with him, and they thought it was cool to show people that they were the one that arrested Dillinger, but it was more that he was such a wanted figure and everybody wanted to see him. They sent him to the maximum security prison in Indiana. But what happens next shocked the entire state of Indiana, because he ends up escaping once again. They're not really sure what happened, but he ends up getting a handgun from one of the prison guards and makes his way out the prison once again. And a lot of people believe that it was one of the guards that was bribed to give him the gun. After he escapes prison, this wasn't the police jobs anymore. It was now the FBI turns. But at this time, it wasn't called the FBI, it was called the BOI, or the Bureau of Investigations. When this is happening, every single person that was caught in the Dillinger gang got the electric chair, so they were going to be executed soon. But Dillinger was still out. Dillinger did not have any money when he escaped, so he did what he knows best. He robbed a bank in the state of Minnesota.
John Dillinger.
John Dillinger made a huge mistake by doing this, because he pretty much told the BOI in what part of the country he's at, and their investigation was heavily narrowed down. After running away from this bank, he gets to a safe house in the city of Chicago, in a place where he thought he was going to be safe. There was a Romanian sex worker in this city named Anna Sage, and she was here illegally. As soon as Anna Sage got to know John Dillinger, she realized who he is, and he's very much wanted by the authorities. She also wanted that $10,000 wanted ad that was everywhere. She thought if she turns in John Dillinger, not only will she get $10,000, but she might even get her green card. He gets into contact with the BOI and says on the 22nd of July 1934, I will be going to the cinemas with him and you could meet us there. After they were getting to the theaters, they went inside to watch the movie while the BOI is standing outside. So the BOI decided they will get him once they get out of the movies. Once John Dillinger and his date got out of the movies, John realized that he's being surrounded, so he tries to make a run for it with his pistol in his pocket. But there was too many officers to escape, so he ends up getting shot multiple times and he bleeds to death on the street. And public enemy number 1 was killed in the streets. He was only 31 years old. Anna Sage ended up getting the $10,000 reward, but they did not give her the green card and ended up deporting her back to Romania. The interesting part about all this is that every single person on the Dillinger gang will end up dying a few months after this.